10,000 feet, so all large electronics and laptops need to be discontinued at this time and placed back on the floor under the seat in front of you. Make sure all bags are pushed all the way under that seat for us. And if you took any tray tables back down, we need the tray tables and seats once again in that full upright and locked position for landing. Welcome to Baltimore.
I'm Dr. Sherry Parks from the University of Maryland at College Park. I'm Associate Dean in the College of Arts and Humanities. How many of you are artists? Right? Yeah. This is part of a series of events that we are staging around Baltimore about stories and the uprising and the conditions that gave rise to the uprising. And my co-leader is Dr. Phoebe Stein from Maryland Humanities, who is doing some of her own work, but also working with us and our other partners, and this is more for the teachers, is Enoch Pratt Library, UMBC, Greater Baltimore Cultural Alliance. So they're a group of organizations that have come together to put together this series. And this one, which is a very special one, Ralph Crowder is an independent filmmaker who has, and you'll understand after you see this, who is both a filmmaker and an activist. And so particularly those who are interested in film, should look very closely at him as a role model. He's doing very important work and still being very deeply embedded in the community. And so I think that's an important role model for you to see. So there'll be time afterwards for Ralph and I will talk just a little, and then there'll be time for you to ask questions about the film or about the process of the film or how this relates to Baltimore. I think it'll be really clear very soon how this relates to Baltimore and some of the things that I learned by watching this film.
First time being in your city of Baltimore, I always would skip Baltimore for some reason. I have family in New York and I went to school in Virginia. But as you know, there's a lot of things happening in your city. There's a lot of things happening in my city. There's a lot of things happening in the country. So I'm not gonna really talk too much right now. What I would like to do is just screen you a piece that I did in the city of Ferguson after the death of Mike Brown. And it's called Hands Up, Don't Shoot, Our Youth Movement. And it really has a lot to do with all of us here today in this room and maybe about some of the things that we all need to be doing as a result to not only the things that happen in death, but the things that happen to us while we're living too.
So every time I see the film, and I've seen it several times, I learn something and realize more about his craft of filmmaking, which I respect a lot. So without further ado, you know it. Why did you make this film?
I made it for y'all. Real talk.
What did you want them to, what if you had to pick out one thing you want them to walk away thinking about, what would it be?
That's good, brother. Let them see that. Let them see it. Let them see it. That's real. That's real.
Tell them what you're thinking. Tell them what you're feeling.
No, on some real shit. Like I'm not here.
Want me to talk a bit?
No, I got it.
Okay.
I'm not here trying to be smart. or a filmmaker. I told you I never been to Baltimore before. But I've been around. I've been around some hoods. But when I drove up here, up down the street, I mean, I see the realness. Don't get me wrong. I've been in Harlem. I've been in South Central. I've been around, but I could feel the realness here. So first, I did this for y'all, and let me apologize for these whack ass adults that live in your city that have made all these conditions that y'all live in possible. A lot of people exploit you. A lot of people use you. A lot of people get paid off of you. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I know y'all know. A lot of y'all's fathers aren't here. I'm a father. I got 2 kids. I got a son who's 19, and I got a daughter who's 22, Mecca and Raleigh. I know what y'all are going through because I seen it happen with my kids. I know what it feels like for a bunch of fathers not to be around. I know what it feels like for some mothers to be struggling. I know what it feels like for there to be a gang of dope in the neighborhood. I know what it feels like to be in a classroom and kids can't focus because they're too busy focusing on what they're dealing with at home. I know what it feels like to watch y'all from this age to the age you are now and know straight where you're going. And it's not to Coppin State. I know what it's like for adults to come, in front of you guys and tell you guys this, and then I know what it's like for you not to hear it. Because you done heard so much bullshit. That's why I did this. That was the only way I could communicate that to y'all. Because don't get it twisted, I went through this too. I'm living this. I sacrificed for this. I'm living it so much that I'll die for this. Because somebody needs to stand up for y'all before people die. I think that's whack. I think that's weak. And I think that's reactionary. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, let's stand up for brothers or any sister who's dead at the hands of the police. Yeah, let's do that. That's right. But we should be standing for y'all in life. Y'all should be standing for yourself in life. Don't wait till nobody dies for that. You've had a gang of fathers who tried to stand up for y'all, believe it or not. You've had a gang of mothers who tried to stand up for y'all. But this right here is real. Walking out these doors, down that street, what is this, west, north or something like that? Yeah, that's real. So the way that I wanted to communicate, like I said, the reason why I did this is because that was the only way that I felt, me personally, that I could communicate what I was feeling to y'all. I'm not special. Any of y'all could have did that. Okay? So as you're listening to me, think about what you need to be doing before somebody else dies to stand up.
One of the things about this film is that it is jazz. It has a rhythm, and so it repeats scenes over and over, and so it picks up a jazz rhythm. And one of the pieces says Plan A. If I had one message for you to leave here, is to think about what your Plan A is, because the major message of the film is that society has plans for Black people that are not necessarily our plans for ourselves, and that there are systems and structures in place to enforce that, but that you can thwart those plans. You did. Many the teachers did. I did. Dr. Hyatt did. So the question is not that you have to leave here and say, well, this is my Plan A. The message is that you begin to develop, if you haven't already, particularly the seniors, juniors, what that Plan A is. So what was your Plan A?
When I was their age?
Yeah. Did you have one?
Yeah, I have one. Yeah, I have
His mom's here.
Yeah, my mom helped me out a lot with that. You know, I come from similar families as y'all. You know, by the show of hands, how many's mom and dad, your mom and dad are still together, and you live in the household with your mom and dad? By the show of hands. Okay, put the hands down. By the show of hands, how many live with one parent? Oh, your mom. Oh.
And if my daughter were here, her hand would be up.
Okay. By the show of hands, how many of y'all stay with your dad? Okay. All right. So you see things aren't balanced. Now just think if we was, what's the name of the upper class, like white high school or something?
Roland Park.
Roland Park? You think those show of hands would be a lot different if we was in another place? Yeah. So just imagine how that affects y'all's or my Plan A. It makes it a little difficult. But fortunately, well, no, let me ask one more question. Now, how many of y'all in here, just be brave about it, you don't got mom or dad in the household, and you just holding it down by yourself? Okay, I see y'all. Right. And thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
And congratulations on being here.
That's
Right. And this is why it's so important for you to have a Plan A, especially y'all, because y'all probably get it a lot more serious than the people who rose their hands with the other questions. Y'all know it's not a game. Y'all know it's not a game. So Plan A is perfecting your ability to communicate. That's the way I see it. Because don't ever be in a situation where you feel like you don't have a voice. Don't ever be in a situation where somebody else is talking for your experience. You be the person who does that for you. Because if you can't do that, guess what? Somebody else is going to come around and they're going to talk for what you're going through, and many times they're going to get paid some money off of your struggle. So your plan A begins when you're in that classroom, understanding there's some real key things that you got to understand with that plan A. I got to know how to read, and I got to know how to write, and I got to know how to communicate. That's survival. If you can't do that, it's going to be very challenging for you, wherever you're at. So you can do that in high school, you can do that in college, you can do that in whatever you choose to do, but make sure you perfect those things. Because what will happen is people will exploit you, and as you can see going down this street, there's a lot of exploitation that's been happening here.
So hey, I'm Charles Cohn from Baltimore, and I just want to ask you a question. After we saw the film, I was just curious, like, we just saw this at Coppin State. Where else is this film going, and what's your purpose with this film?
It's real. When you walk outside, trust and believe. I got people on my block. You get smart with them, you will get killed. That's how it is out here. I got uncles in jail. My uncle just passed away because the police thought he had a weapon, but he had a inhaler, and they shot him. So the way I feel about it is, I want to be a lawyer, a criminal defense lawyer.
Y'all telling us to get a voice and have a voice and stuff, but when they look at us as statistics.
In government, today we read about how they're taking millions of dollars from Baltimore City and Baltimore County schools from air conditions. Think about how that affects students with asthma, who that affects students who just have health conditions.
For people who watch films or listen to music, like if you listen to a song, the hook in the song is there for a purpose. It's for you to remember, right? So, for instance, when you hear a song, you might not remember the whole verse, but you'll remember the hook of the song. Those repetitive images are, for me at least, were the hook to this entire film. It's this idea that, like, regardless of what your experience and your ideology is, those images will forever exist.
That's right.
I'm like connected with a lot of like groups here in Baltimore that do student advocacy and make films and stuff. But I never had heard anything like that before. When he was talking about how, his connections with people, it's like it felt like he even had like an internal struggle.
People are benefiting off of you.
Yes.
Example, there are so many outside organizations that have come into the city and have been bringing resources, right? But those resources aren't benefiting you directly. Though those monies are going into the pockets of those organizations and those people who run those organizations, but you're not benefiting at all.
I don't have a mother figure or a father figure. I'm just by myself. I have a grandmother, but I don't seem like I still push myself to like move on and keep moving and keep going and accomplish my goals. Cause my mother not there. She never there. It's my grandmother that's there and always here for me and helping me out and telling me keep pushing and keep going for your goals. And the people who have their mother and their father, I don't know how I feel. I want to know how I feel. So I'm so happy and proud of myself that I'm here today and at a good school, that I have black people surrounded by me, African Americans. I'm just proud to be here.